He's Daryl, the reader.
He's Mooks, the watcher.
Team Watchers, no expectation, zero disappointments.
Team Reader, we love the books, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm here for the show. Let's go.
So what I saw is Ishmael's circle of power. And I don't know how much of a close group this is. The reason I say that is because they're all covered up. Maybe the lack of trust. They still have like distinguished articles of clothing. And the CDC, the clan dry cleaners, never leave home wrinkled or dirty, pressed to impress, and meanwhile, so clean. You know they're sitting there too because they've got their pristine white gloves on at the table. So each of them, although they're covered up, you could tell they're from a different sect or different group of people. So I find that interesting. The part that really was so revealing of the only person that we actually see their face on the table is Paran Fain. He shows his face at the very end. Like, he doesn't even care because I feel like everybody there knows who he is. Like, they already know that's him. I do remember from the season 1 where he got a hold of that one box. What's that box again?
So it's the box that holds the Horn of Valir.
Yeah, so he was the last one to have a possession of that. So I'm assuming that's of high value, and that might be the reason why he's at that table. You know what I mean?
You could say
he's
that.
Got that box. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. So at the table, I'm just gonna maybe call out some things that stood out to me, but I want to get your opinion on it. So, for instance, like the little girl, what'd you think about her?
Man, she is a fantastic actor. I love her. And she's being groomed for the dark side, right? I like to be okay with monsters. Ishmael is not good. He's obviously evil here. He's even asked her, how do you prove you're not a monster? How do you prove that the things you do is good or evil, right? And when you're talking to somebody that young, they don't have the answer for that. It's not like he's asking her. It's almost talking to us, right? Trying to have a paradigm shift, like there's a gray area. Like, even though they look scary, they obviously, to me, appear evil, but are they the good people, right? He's trying to blend that line there. So obviously he's talking to us, but that little girl is fantastic. I hope we get to see her more in action, but unfortunately, I'm thinking that it might be like a few seasons down the road, and Ishmael had created a monster. You know what I mean? And deeply rooted where her paradigm shift is it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like. That why she was there.
Interesting. I like that take on it. So what stood out to me about her was that she was a tinker. Also, that her mom,
she ran into that room because she got scared, and it was like she ran into her for a safe spot. Maybe her mom's there or something. Is that right?
Yeah. There was another woman in a tinker's dress, so we could assume that mother or that woman was her mother, or at least somebody she's with. Could be sister, who knows? But definitely tinkers. Another thing that stood out to me, you mentioned the ever so pressed, dry cleaned white cloaks.
CDCs.
Yeah. So the white cloaks. That's interesting because in that particular room, I mean, you're talking about the people that are supposed to be the worshipers of all that are good, the light, right? So they're in there with at the Dark Friend Social, because that's what this is. One other thing that stood out, maybe an Aes Sedai ring that was all in black, which is very telling for things to come.
Because obviously the CDCs were there, like you said. You mentioned the Tinkers. There was definitely some screen times. The real estate for the whole shot on the big screen was, we saw like the anemic brass knuckle that Ishmael had, the family badges, the insignias, and the huge black ring, and it took up the whole screen. And what did you say? What was that?
So that was an Aes Sedai's ring.
Oh, that was,
but all in black. Usually their rings are gold, at least how
colored,
they're represented
right?
in the show. They're
gold. The ring casing is gold, but the inside gem is also representation of their each
Aja,
color, right?
Yeah, their Aja, and her ring was black. So and this is the first time we get to see somebody who is essentially part of the Black Aja, which is not spoken about, but they've shown it, which is pretty cool. And then for a White Cloak and an Aes Sedai to be in the same room, sharing the same space together is quite interesting. So these people have obviously turned to the dark. You mentioned the insignia. That's Shannara Soldier's insignia. We saw them in episode 7 and 8 of season 1. That's where, the Hunters of the Horn are with. So that was pretty interesting. And then beyond that, Padon Fane exposing himself at the end. I thought that was neat because, like, obviously everyone's covering their faces to hide who they are, to keep their intrigue and their, obviously an Aes Sedai doesn't want to be known, or a White Cloak definitely doesn't want to be known. But another thing that stood out to me, and I don't know that it could be an Aes Sedai of the Blue Aja or representing something else. And hopefully they show what that is. I have an opinion of what I think it is, but maybe later we'll get to see more detail about this particular Dark Friend social. I would have loved to see more exposition here. I think other than, hey, get Rand al'Thor is the plan, I think it would have been nice to see what Ishmael's plans are, what he's laying out, like kind of like a, to see the puppet master at work. So this will be cool, like, moving forward. So Moraine, this scene is pretty impactful. I mean, after being stilled or shielded, in my opinion, this is interesting to see her doing physical work. This is different from what's in the books. We didn't get to see this part or this stage of Moraine or Lan. Them going through this hardship right now is definitely, it's an interesting viewpoint. I'm glad we get to see it a little bit. I'm curious to see where they go with it and how much they show of it, really, because it wasn't something in the books that we got to see. So, but this struggle for her is real, doing physical labor, just dealing with it. Definitely. But I think it's her way of coping, because most people who are stilled or shielded or stilled die. So she's an exception to the rule.
Okay. Well, I can only imagine how in shock someone would be, a significant and abrupt shift, and you have to recalibrate. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, like, it's like losing your limbs or winning the other side of the spectrum, winning the lottery. Like, your life's going to change. You're going to pull 180 somewhere on either ends of the spectrum. I think I would taste this solitude. That's the name of this, episode. Taste of Solitude. I'd take a breather to reset course, or she has some major guilt because what has happened. And it is not the final battle. I think when she took Rand there, she was anticipating that was it. That was the final battle, but it wasn't. So I feel like there's some guilt that came after that, right? So this is a form of, like, maybe a penance. She's like beating herself up because of the lack of the final battle and the fact that she's sapped. Like, I feel like this is penance for herself to go and fetch your own water, because if Lan was there, he would do it, even if he knew that she was sapped. He would still do it, because I remember at the end of season 1, Lan made a statement to her saying that he wants to serve somebody until he didn't have a purpose, until he met her. You know what I mean? His purpose is her, right? So I don't know if it's purpose as a warder, but purpose is her. So it's more than just a warder. I don't think he just wants to be a warder. He wants to be useful to Moran, right? She can have Lan take care of, like, what we're seeing in this section, but feels unworthy. I think maybe she does feel a bit unworthy of all the stuff that's happening. To feel powerless and not needed might be a big pill for her to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, I like that take on it. I mean, obviously Lan's going through a struggle as well, losing that bond, the way she cut him off at the end there. There's that warder bond, Aes Sedai warder bond, is so unique, and it's like it's closer than being married to someone. It's interesting because you can feel not just the emotions through the bond; they can feel everything through it. So for him being cut off from her and her pushing him away and just like doing what she's doing all this stuff where he's there usually to pick up the slack or do things for her. It's an interesting way for her to deal. And I think we talked about it when we first went through this.
Grief.
Grief, right?
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah,
coming,
definitely.
realization, like the struggle, overcoming, and then working through it. I mean, she's going through those stages, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see it. I mean, it's some good acting on her part for sure. Definitely something again we didn't get to see. Wondered how she got through it, but I want to see where it goes, and hopefully land.
And you had
What
mentioned this was not in the book.
Not this port, not what happened with Moraine. No, we didn't. Moraine basically got what happened to her, stilled or shielded. We'll just call it either or. At the end of the eye of the world, and then she was just kind of gone for a little while. She came back, and when she came back, things were different. So they kind of center focused on the Emmons Fielder 5 after that. So this, I believe, really honestly, Rosamund Pike is the star of the show. Essentially, she's her star power. So I think they needed to provide her with screen time. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy both of those actors and the character itself. I want to see more of Lan. I don't know if that's just the yellow in me that wants to see him more.
No, I mean, I enjoy both of them on screen.
All I know is that when I saw, obviously we'll be talking about it here in a second, but the action that Lan brings can be top notch. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
Agreed.
I feel like Moran will always be a catalyst to, turn the page on what's going on. You know what I mean? Moran does that. So
Yeah.
both of those are my cup of tea.
And I agree with you 100%. I'm hoping this season going forward, we get to see some of that action, some of that swordsmanship that Lan is. I mean, that's a big part of this story is, the swordsmanship and how skilled of a warrior he is. So, and how that affects the rest of the people in the story. Absolutely. So here we are. I want to focus on Egwene a little bit here. As she's in the Amerlin's room doing the cleaning, she spends some time in their time in the tower, but it's, for me and a lot of the readers, her in this room and her moment with the shawl is going to be a call out to things to come in the future. And I'm really hoping we get to see that. But honestly, this time around, the tower seems bigger, right? It seems like we get to see more of it. There's more depth to it. It seems a large place like it is. In season 1, we kind of got one room. They showed the outside and panned in. It seemed very small. This time, I feel like the budget was there. They made the place feel bigger, like it's supposed to be. These are great scenes in the tower.
Yeah. I enjoyed the multicolor weaves and what sources they are coming from. I think you mentioned it before, the unreliable narrator that could be fun to have that kind of exploration together. The unreliable narrator. The two girls, one hates it there and the other one enjoys it, I think. But the one that hates it, right, can't stand the place. Would rather be at a place where she's needed, I believe. Like, she's not used to being called. She's not used to not being called for help to treat and aid others. Maybe it's like being a doctor and you really care about the people you help, the patients, and then you have a career change into like a NASA engineer, playing around like high tech and magic in the glamorous and ginormous building with no one to treat or cure. That's not what she signed up for. I just don't think so. I think that's part of her frustration, right? It's just that this new environment that she's not the wisdom in her village she's accustomed to. So I enjoy the clash between the two girls being there and their purpose, right?
100%, man. Naive is definitely a fish out of water there. She's in a new element, not where she wants to be, but she's there because she promised to protect her people of her village, right? And that's her real driving force here. Egwene is just kind of in her glory. She's like, the star pupil, so this is cool. I'd like to see these scenes going on. And then it's interesting that the bond that is being formed between the people here is interesting. I think the scene where they were practicing the weaves, you mentioned the colors, right? And an unreliable narrator. Well, that's awesome that you called it out, because I wanted to say first season, maybe it was VFX, but I feel like maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a deliberate thing. Maybe it was, hey, the girls that could see the power because the female channelers can, they didn't understand it. They didn't know what they were looking at. So honestly, the viewpoint was their viewpoint of, hey, power is happening. I don't know what it is, so it looks clear. You know what I mean? I don't really understand it. You know, same thing with Ran. When he saw his power going off, because we did get to see him channeling, it was just weight with, you know, the darkness in it, which represents something that hopefully they get into later. That was pretty cool. So the shift in the way the weaves are flowing, I like the change. I like the fact that now we get to see explanation and training. And, you know, Alana came in and asked, what are the, you know, the sources of the weave, and the girl just kind of laid them off, and each one of them have a representative color. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah. So in the kitchen, the green Aes Sedai waved everybody to leave, and then, you know, and left on cue. Everybody left on cue, as if they have like this protocol. Like, let me get that over. In the kitchen, the green Aes Sedai waved everybody to leave and left on cue, as if they have like been there before and know what the protocol is. But what happens next is so disjointed. Like, it was not abrasive enough, right? As if there was an omission somewhere. Like, when there is an order or a structural protocol, I would be intimidated and feel like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Like I'm going to the principal's
and something's
office.
about to go down. Yeah, something's about to go down. You know what I mean? But instead, like Naive at the very end of the kitchen scene, like Naive chugged down an extra dark roast of double shot chocolate mocha or something. You know what I mean? Like, here, I'll do what you asked. That's what you want.
Done. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something that is it kind of a change of pace from the books. Anytime like a you know, an accepted or a you know, a new person in training would have something like that happen, they would immediately get sent off to the Mystery of Novices, and then like pretty much beaten with the power. So that's what I was, you know, I was like, ooh, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, somebody's about to get beat, but it didn't happen.
That's what I was expecting. Know?
Yeah. So that was interesting to see that. But I believe it's maybe, I feel like maybe it was just hey, I'm going to tell you this one time, and if I got to tell you again, you know, I hope that we get to see, like, I mean, not hope, but if something like that happens, maybe they would show a little bit of the harsher side of the Aes Sedai training. So it'd be interesting to see. All right, so here we go. Egwene walking in to talk to Alana after walking in on her that morning, and she just she's asking about the weaves, and Alana just goes right into like her conversation about juggling two men. I thought that was kind of neat, and it is kind of interesting too, because at this stage in the game, you know, Egwene is definitely, she's all about the knowledge, but in the book, at this point, she is interested in the boys. I saw them walk past on her way there, the warders in training, right? And all the girls are hanging over the edge, like looking at the warders, ready to pick out their warders. Egwene was one of those girls. I mean, as along with being a really good novice student, right? So she's definitely leans towards the Green Ajah, the Battle Ajah, where they can have men. She still has probably love in her heart for Ran, who now, this telling of the story, she believes he's dead. And we know he's not. And so this is kind of a neat thing, especially with Alana's play on words.
Yeah, I thought this was fun and comical. It's such a good comic relief. Like, and, you know, on a side note, I was questioning, just, you know, thinking like, how do they have fun here? What do they do for fun? They don't have any bowling alleys or movie theaters, but they have the Green Ajah.
Yeah. So funny thing you said that, like what they do for fun, right? So, and I'll just a little side information from in the books. The girls would used to like practice their weaves. Like they're not supposed to channel, right? Unless they're like in training, right? Or they're somewhat instructor led channeling. So the girls would just practice magic, or, you know, magic call it, but practice their weaves in private, you know, and do the little games, and obviously flirt with the boys. So that's kind of what they did for fun, but that's cool.
Okay. The multi-partners, just more fun. But yeah, that piece was a masterful piece to have half the people believing we were talking about topic A, and like the other half talking about topic B, and both flows and makes sense. Right? While she was talking about like when she came in her room and trying to ask about multi weave and stuff like that. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Great lesson for Egwene for concentration and juggling. The requirement for sex life. I mean, multi weave. I thought that was awesome.
Right now,
I hope to see more of that from the director and the book as comic relief. I think that was pretty golden. Obviously, keeping Matt in a locked chamber to torture him and then spiral into a darker hole. I know the letter mentions all of them, right? But the Red Aes Sedai, she omitted his name as if it was he was forgotten. I think just to twist the dagger of like despair, just to get it deeper and to get more cuts and rips. The Red Aes Sedai is a total manipulator and someone I love to punch. Those cheekbones are ripening up just fine. She's one of those with Padon Fane and her right there. I would want them to be in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Like just step in the ring, please.
So I'm
she's a bun pusher and wants Matt to crack. I know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Leandrin definitely is a villain you love to hate. And at this point, and maybe this might be a little bit of back end knowledge, and definitely anybody who's read the books or paid attention to first season. Remember when the White Cloaks came and Moraine had the scar, and she just said, "Hey, I'm just a minor nobleman from a fallen house." And then Egwene said, "I thought Aes Sedai can't lie." And she said, "I didn't lie, because Moraine is a lesser noble from a fallen house." She never said she wasn't Aes Sedai. She just said what she was. In this very instance, Leandrin did something that Aes Sedai aren't supposed to do or can't do. She outright lied to Matt. She told him, not a mention of Matt Cotham. Now, it could be considered a play on words because she didn't mention Matt Cotham, but she didn't, explicitly say that the letter didn't. I feel that she told a lie, and she's showing that perhaps she's darker than she appears, not just being kind of the I guess evil attitude lady that she is, with for lack of a better word. But without going too far into detail, I think there's something more there with Leandrin. She lied. Yeah, so this all led up to an interesting end where Moraine just tried to leave, right? Not tell Lan, not tell anybody. And she knew that these fades were out there. When she told Master Doman, "Hey, here's some money, get on a ship and go far away as you can," she knew that they were fades. Not to mention one, but 3 fades. So she just rode out into this knowing that they were out there, and to a point where Varen and Lan showed up to save her, luckily, barely. So that was kind of cool.
To tap into her powers, and her friends showed up just at the right time. Lan came in and we saw a badass in action. Great fight scene. I hope to see more of this. I was impressed with Moran killing a fade without her power and water. Does this happen? I don't know. I would think that she's at such a disadvantage, but she obviously has some combat hand-to-hand experience, or just a lot of wisdom, right? I love the teamwork. The teamwork was awesome. The teamwork wombo combo. That fighter sword and the finisher. This is the first Aes Sedai and Water battle scene that has a wombo combo. I can only imagine what kind of other wombo combos in the future we'll get. That was awesome.
Not quite the first. Remember, first episode, season 1, when Moraine and Lan fought the Trollocs. That was a combination showing them fighting as a unit together.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's right.
I mean, and they fought off how many Trollocs, right? Of course, fades are different than Trollocs. And for Varen's warder to come in with a power rot weapon, I mean, she infused his sword with fire. That was pretty cool to see. And again, that right there is going to be a call out for things to come. I hope that we get to see another flaming sword later in the season, or in the next coming episodes, or just that's a good foretelling. It was a nice way to end this episode. the flush and frame nerfit near that big slope with value. Earlier me.
Snip opposite oris, and she steps at one. Search now me.
Hirsch how with swimsy.
Hurdy rough oris.